you for coming to my presentation. I'm from Quest Software. We're just exhibiting just outside here. It's actually the first time we've been to this event, so I'm going to try to talk to you about what we do at Quest to help you and talk about the different solutions that we have to help you with your legacy data. Before I start, it would be useful to know which of you, could you put your hands up if you work with databases like Oracle, SQL Server, Postgres, MySQL? Yeah? Oh, that's good. Good, thank you. As we're at this sort of event, obviously a lot of people are using, talking about big data and data warehouses and those sorts of things. But what we find is obviously where's that data coming from? Where are you getting your data from? So my name's Martin Wild. I've been with Quest 22 years now working with these solutions. Previously I worked at a manufacturing organisation and a retail company, doing the sorts of things that hopefully you're working with now and your challenges. So a bit about Quest Software. We're a privately held company based in the US. Been going now for about 25 years-ish, something like that. There are a lot of units. We're actually represented today. I'm in the database management area, but we do things around backups, identity and access management, Microsoft platform management, endpoint protection, and another business unit, Erwin, who we're here with today, also help you with products around data governance and data intelligence. So if that's an area of your interest as well, then please come across and talk to us. But that's my particular area. So what we see, what we do, databases, NoSQL database, and then also cloud type databases. And what I find is that my customers are finding this environment very complex. We've got data everywhere. If you're moving into the cloud, there's more opportunity for people to be spinning up different types of databases that you might not be familiar with. And how do we visualize that? How do we work with that? And we do that with some of our products, which I'm going to go and talk to you about today. So we have areas like prepping the data. I have to say that's the one area that the people I've been talking to this morning have been very interested in. How to work with the data and how to prep it and clean it and transform it. But we also have tools for managing. We have a range of there's Toad for Oracle and SQL Server, and we also help move transactional data from Oracle. And I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. But one of our key products is the monitoring solution. So let's talk to you a little bit around the prep side. If you work with lots of different sources and find it difficult to access it, visualize it, clean it, transform it, this is quite useful because we do have Toads for individual platforms. Toad Data Point will connect to lots of different data sources, but more importantly, join these data sources together. So, for example, if you ever have the challenge of, like, say, working with SQL or Oracle, and somebody again gives you like an Excel spreadsheet or something, which I do find is still prevalent in the marketplace, people working with spreadsheets. You can import that data. You can work with worksheets. You can join that data with a SQL data table, for example, and visualize it. Find out where the records are in one and not the others, like a Venn diagram type approach. In order to, say, upload that data or work with that data, you may want to, the examples I was giving this morning is when I used to do this sort of thing is where the data doesn't quite work for you, where you need to, convert something to uppercase, where you need to split a column in order to get like the number of the address out of the address line. Have a calculated column where you've got something that's a char and you need it as an integer. All those steps you can go through and then automate so you can visualize it, because we're not interrupting the raw data. We're just going through the steps through the engine to be able to say, right, I've got these two columns, I can delete the first one, I can then take that data and publish it to somewhere where we might want to visualize that further. That's what Talk does, really helping the prep market, with a lot of the key drivers around how the difficulty in accessing the data and preparing it easily, and repeating those processes are quite difficult. And enabling customers to get a higher expectation with additional benefits of going through that process. So if you're interested in that, again, you can come across, we'll scan your badge and we'll send you some more details on that. So that's Told Data Point. On the managing side, as I mentioned, I'm not going to go into too much detail with this, because I think this is more, you might not be a DBA or developer as far as I was thinking. But again, if you are working with Oracle, SQL Server, SAP, DB2, as well as things like Postgres and MySQL, and you need a tool to manage these databases, then Toad is another product that you can use. These are all Windows tools, by the way, that can access these databases and allow you to visualize it, manage, delete records, insert records, test data. Those are the sorts of things that we work with. Another interesting tool that we have, it's a bit of a niche tool really, is moving data. It is quite, it's unusual in what we do here, but what we're helping people with is, if you have Oracle as your, you've got like an Oracle system, and what you want to do is work with that data in another platform, you might find it difficult. Oracle is very expensive, and it's difficult to just keep spinning up lots of Oracle databases. What we basically do is, let's say that a typical process might be more of an ETL with Oracle. You want, say, some customer data out of your Oracle database, but the DBA won't let you do that, because you're going to impact the production systems that are running on Oracle. So what you want to do is get a backup of that data and put it somewhere else, like in Oracle or in Postgres, SQL Server, for example. But as soon as you've done that, that data will become out of date, right? So it's a bit of a problem. You want something in real time. So what we do is we allow you to take, let's say, it's 10 past 12, we take a backup, we get that backup into the tables, into another database platform, and then what SharePlex will do is you tell it which tables that you are interested in to replicate, and then from that 10 past 12, we will pick up all changes that take place and forward them to another database, which could be in the cloud, could be SQL Server, it could be a JSON file, it could be Kafka, it could be any type of way you want to process that data. And in that way, you can keep those target databases in sync. So again, we get a lot of interest in this, with people wanting to say, like, let's go down the Azure side, wanting to work with something like in data warehouses on Azure, and they need to get that data up there, but it's a problem getting it out of Oracle. So if you want to leverage Oracle data in another platform, data streaming, then that's something else that we can help you with. Then the fourth product that we have, or the fourth solution, is around monitoring. Because we have, again, addressing this problem of having lots of different data sources, particularly when they're a mixture of on-prem, what I find is that we have customers who are trying to move to the cloud. They may have traditionally thought, well, we'll just move to SQL Server with Microsoft, we'll go to Azure. And then what we're finding is that some customers are saying, we don't want to be tied into one vendor. This is particularly relevant to Oracle customers who don't want to, say, go to OCI because they don't want to get vendor trapping. So they find out that they are moving towards different platforms, like Azure, AWS, Google, IBM, and then what you then is that to the traditional database. Now you've got database as a service. So your business, for example, might be saying, oh, all right, well, now we've got a new system, we've implemented it running with MongoDB, We've got something with Postgres, we've got MySQL, got Cassandra, Redshift, MariaDB, and that causes a lot of complexity. Possibly not for you guys, but you might want to speak to your DBAs about, are we sure about the health of data sources we're using? Are they being backed up? What's the performance like? So, the hybrid environment, we can hook you up to give you a single view of all those different database types on an on-prem cloud type environment. Now, we also allow you to do things around cost savings as well, which I'll go through. So it gives you a single view. You can see on the animation there the different types of databases that we support and the different cloud platforms we support and how we help you with your capacity, costing, because that's another interesting thing around moving to the cloud. I don't know whether you have these problems, but your costs start driving up significantly quite quickly. On an on-prem situation, you've already invested in your hardware, and so it's more of a resource type, and Foglight helps with that. But when you move into the cloud, you've got unlimited resources, but you also then potentially need an unlimited resources of budget. So we can help in that particular area, giving you that observability. And again, it's something that we're finding that customers are interested in because, as you go through this change of digital transformations, what I tend to find is that IT teams are reorganized, particularly after COVID and things like that, where people are working from home, budgets might be cut. People who knew the data, knew where it was, have moved on, have been reorganized, gone into a different team, and then people like you are then struggling to know, where's that database gone? Where's it disappeared? I need that. That's got my such a thing. And what IT teams are doing is they're shutting things down and waiting to see who screams to say that was an important database. Can you bring it back up? So, because again, they're trying to cut costs and they're trying to work out where things are. So we get people coming to us saying, can you discover our environment, find out what we've got and start monitoring it, because it's important. We need to know if it goes down. We need to know if it's being maintained. There's implications here for things like GDPR, where you have to show that you are, looking after this data and not allowing it to be, to get corrupt or whatever. So stability and observability are all things that we feel are important because outages cost money. So again, I don't know whether this is important for you people, but if something goes down and you've got an outage, this is more prevalent to if you have a system and you're a retailer or something, your website goes down. But it also could be important to what we're here for today, is if something goes down and you can't make those decisions, because then you're like, where did that data source go? We need to bring it back. So that's an important aspect that we help with. So if your challenges or your DBA challenges are around managing a hybrid environment, growing environments, difficult to manage, a lack of time to do historical trending and reporting, and if you don't have that visibility and you're having to do more with less, then we can hopefully help you in this area, give you a real-time view across all the enterprise, identify all your servers, the infrastructure as well, what cloud services and resources you're using, and then help the DBA or the IT department resolve issues quickly and automate these sorts of processes. So there's all workflows in here for alarm management and integrating with ticketing systems that might be important to you. So the basic summary here is around being more proactive. One of my sort of biggest frustrations when we look at something like this is whether teams are more reactionary. If I said to you, well, I don't know whether this is applicable to your roles here, but if you were to say something like, how often do you have to raise a ticket to say something's gone down? Rather than the IT team being able to say, we are aware of a problem and we are dealing with it. So if you have that sort of scenario where you're thinking, why I'm the end user, why am I telling you this problem, that's more reactionary, and you want to, that's what we're trying to address and help here with this tool. So it helps you with costs, monitoring capacity, the large estates. It helps with things like, again, there are all skills that you might not be aware of. Again, I don't know whether you get involved. Do people know what a SQL statement is and what an execution plan is? Yeah, some people get. I'm finding that level of detail, it's sort of disappearing a little bit because people are used to having all the resources, and if you're querying a SQL database and it's taking like an hour to process, you might think, well, it doesn't really matter, I'm not that bothered. But all that sort of process of like how you're interacting with a database, the performance of the queries, it is like becoming like a bit of a hidden part. So we help identify poorly performing execution plans and allow you to sort of look at where you might need to add indexes or tune those queries. So to give you a bit more of a skill, bridging that skills gap. And again, I'm hoping that the audience here, it might not be you, but you know somebody who has these problems, and we can help in that particular area. So it's around things like helping you with the diagnostic, getting to the root cause of a problem, the health, the monitoring, is everything working correctly, and some of the analytical stuff around, what queries are people running, how often are they running, where the performance bottlenecks could be important to you. So these are some of the technologies that we give insights into. It's not just about databases. That's my particular role, is around databases, but we also work with containers and Kubernetes and storage on the on-prem stuff, different hypervisors, etc. But basically filling things in more visibility. So on the infrastructure side, it's like the monitoring, the alerting, the notification of any issues, the root cause analysis, and this hybrid approach that's quite important. And then also, optimizing the systems, getting the best value for money. So if you are under cost pressures, we can help with that by providing you this sort of a proactive and predictive approach to monitoring your environment on-prem to improve VM performance. So I'll give you an example. This is cool for this audience, I'm not sure. But, if you are a SQL person and you're running on-prem, there's probably virtualized, and there's probably a lot of complexity that you're not aware of. There's another team somewhere who have provisioned your environment for you. And in that environment, there's a technical problem, there's an alert on a particular LUN, and you don't know how that's affecting everybody. So you may have infrastructure people, you might have like Wintel people, you might have SQL people, and how do these things all relate, and how are they related, so that you know whether that particular incident is in or SQL instance, for example. So that's what we do. We map dependencies between these objects so that we can get to the root cause of a problem quickly. And over and above that, we allow you to map your business processes to these objects. So again, I'm guessing a little bit here, but if you have processes that take place, where you're extracting data from this system, you're extracting data from another system, and they all go somewhere else where it's then processed and uploaded to another system, are you familiar with those processes from like an IT point of view? So by allowing you to put the objects that you're monitoring into a business process, that allows you to then see, if you get an incident, which bit of the systems that is impacting. So then you can see that topology view at the bottom there to see, well, if we're having a problem here, this is going to impact these particular systems, and therefore we can drill down to get to the root cause of that problem. So again, to summarize a little bit, if you are in one of these teams, you can all work together, because if you're a DBA, you can be looking at a problem. I've got a problem. Is it a query? Is it the database? Is it the instance? Is it the operating system? Is it the VM? Is it the hypervisor? Is it the cloud? You know, you can you can see all that visibility in one place. What if you're a developer? Have we got any developers here? SQL developers potentially? Yeah, cool, right, brilliant. Right, so you're a developer. Do you have access to the production systems to see how your code is performing? Yeah, and if it's a struggle, again, normally it might be a struggle because if you're a developer, you know, production is like ring fenced, you can't access it. And there may be tooling, like if you're Oracle, for example, you'd have like the monitoring tools for Oracle, but they're DBA tools, they're not available to developers typically. But then if someone says, but we've got SQL Server as well, then that's another complexity. It's like, well, what do we have for SQL Server? It's another tool. And what if you're trying to convince somebody that the problem isn't the database? This is another aspect of this, is the sort of blame culture, is you're sort of having to say, it's not me, I've checked, it's not me, it's something else. And then you want to be checking the operating system. And then this becomes particularly important if you're in a DevOps environment. You know, did that code that I released last weekend, did that impact the performance? Because I need to make sure that we're not obsolescing or slowing the performance down. I need to be able to compare what's been going on. So that's the sort of principle really, is to bring all these people together to give you like a single view of what's going on. And if you want, I haven't got time to go through all these particular slides, but it was just giving you, you can come across for a demo if you want to see this in action, but this is like a dashboard. This is our lab that you can access as a customer or as a trial. And we've built this lab where we've got instances on-prem, we've got instances physical, in VMware, in Azure, Google, AWS, and a whole mixture of different types of databases, which are all in one place for you to be able to see as a particular dashboard. You can look at like managed instances, Azure SQL DB. One of the key things I wanted to show you here is the baselining feature. What am I looking at the moment? Is that normal for this time of day, this day of the week and this week of the month, for example? Do I need to do something? So all the coding is showing you whether things are in tolerance. And then we can drill down and we can see the queries that are running. You know, if there's a slowdown, we can look at things like wait events. Again, this is, if you're into this sort of thing, this is quite crucial. Why is my query slow? Is it waiting for I/O? Is it waiting for CPU, or is it blocking locks? Have I got deadlocks? All those sorts of things. You can compare that with the baseline. You can drill down. You can look at what's changed. We have a change tracking system. What's changed over time? Give me some advice of things that I need to be doing on this instance. You know, back up to the top view. What's the health of the instance? Look at the operating system. And you can see that it's sort of fairly easy to read. Things are in red. There's a problem there. Let's drill in. Let's have a look. If it's not me, is it Windows? Is it Microsoft doing stuff? Is it the endpoint protection? Is it the antivirus stuff kicking in? If it's a VM, let's have a look at what the VMware thinks of it. You know, looking at the VM information, looking at the baseline. What's not clear here is what I'm doing is looking back over time, because this is a key issue for people. Is, you know, what happened when you were in that show on Wednesday? You know, we had loads of issues. You can go back in time and view this and find out what's going on. Look at the monitor, look at the storage, look at things like network topology, looking at things like SAN data paths, looking at latency, looking at the host itself and looking for more details at that level. All fairly easy to do with a role-based dashboard. And you saw earlier on when doing the application type view, you've got very technical dashboards, but very high-level dashboards as well. This particular instance is on the cloud. So another job I've got to check is the cloud healthy? So I think I'm on Azure for this one. Most of our stuff's in UK West and UK East, and then we can drill in, have a look at all the VMs in Azure, you know, how are they performing, look at a particular VM. We can do all these processes for you. Okay, so if you want to, you can take a screen grab of that QR code. There's this lab if you want to play around with that, or you want to pass that to some of your colleagues or whatever. But that's the basic thing around, helping your teams with simplifying a hybrid environment. Again, how would you justify this is really around, stopping lots of teams having these war room situations, taking, everybody getting involved, trying to work out whose fault it isn't or whose fault it is. It's just working more collaboratively to get to the root cause of the problems quickly and to save you money. I didn't show you that, we didn't have a slide for that, but looking at the cost of what you're actually using, we can do that as well. And the database stuff is around things like SQL tuning and all sorts of areas. So that's basically it. If you need any more information, just outside the door, straight across. But thank you for listening and enjoy the rest of the event. Thank you.